You want some?
What is this? No. Tell them I want it shaken, not stirred. Hello, I'm Anderson. Mr. Anderson. And today we're going to be talking about the Cold War, specifically espionage during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and how that shaped a great deal of what we come to think about in this climactic war between America and the USSR. I'm also going to be discussing with you today the closest moment we ever came as a human race to obliteration. It's called the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it happened in October 1962. Along with that and the Bay of Pigs invasion, we'll last check out what it was like to live during Cold War America. You'll find that our world is shaped still today by events and culture that lived in fear of being destroyed by a nuclear attack. All this and more in the next 30 minutes. The year is 1960, and you, an American, hear on the radio, on the TV, that one of our planes has been lost. Not just crashed, but it has been lost behind enemy territory. It was called the U-2. It was a spy plane nicknamed Dragon Lady, and it was the best at what it could do, which was to take pictures at a colossal height of over 70,000 feet high. This spy plane, state-of-the-art, could fly over Soviet territory and take pictures of the Soviet Union, something we had never had the chance to do before. At the helm was our most experienced pilot, a man named Francis Gary Powers, over 27 different mission flights that he had experience about. But on this one specific day in 1960, May 1st, what we call May Day, the report is the Soviet Union shot down this spy plane. Now, of course, all of this was confidential. We could not take responsibility that we had actually been flying spy planes over Soviet territory. So America just said we had lost a spy plane and the pilot must have gone unconscious behind the wheel. But shortly thereafter, the man who took over the Soviet Union's control after Joseph Stalin had died, a little short, stubby, bald, fat little man named Nikita Khrushchev, he shocked the Western world by saying, not only, America, were you spying on us, but we have pieces of the spy plane right here, and we have the pilot still alive right here. Francis Gary Powers had been interrogated and tortured. When you're a pilot for a top secret spy mission, you're given a pill, and you take that pill. It's called cyanide, and it's an instant death means to make sure that the secrets you have don't get shared with your enemy. But Powers did not take this tablet, this pill. In fact, he was under orders to tell his captors whatever he knew, because it was believed that pilots did not understand much of the bigger plans of their superior officers. So he was questioned by the Soviet Union, and eventually he was sentenced to 3 years in prison behind Soviet walls, but he was eventually traded out with another spy that we had caught from the Soviet Union, and he eventually was returned to the United States. This obviously made America look bad, and our president at the time, President Dwight Eisenhower, nicknamed Ike, he took full responsibility for this failure to hide our stealth missions. This wasn't the only espionage spy fail. Just 8 years before, the Soviet Union had been found to have been spying on the American embassy, our little American building inside of Moscow, where we were supposed to have peaceful diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union. Our ambassador at the time, a man named George Kennan, a well-respected diplomat and historian, it was found in his office. The Soviet Union had given him a huge wooden seal, the Great Seal of the United States of America, in his office as a gift, but hidden inside of this big seal was actually a pencil-shaped microphone amplifier that could pick up every word that he was saying, and spies from the Soviet Union were listening in to every word that the American ambassador was saying inside of the quiet of his own office, not knowing that every bit of American business was being picked up and listened to by the Soviet Union. And when we found that microphone, that sound recording device, we also got really angry with the Soviet Union, just as they did 8 years later with the finding of the U-2 crashed spy plane and Francis Gary Powers. For understandable reasons, spies became very big during the Cold War. Maybe you recognize this guy. It's been since the 1950s since Ian Fleming has written his James Bond novels, and since the 1960s when they made movies about him, and they're still making James Bond movies to this day. It's been over 50 years. There's so many spy stories that I could be sharing with you, but the one biggest one we're going to share right now is this.
Why not? Let's talk about Kimphilby, the most famous double agent of the Cold War. He was working for Great Britain, or so the British Empire thought. Kimphilby was in secret working for the Soviet Union. In his 20s, in college, and later training as a journalist, Philby had become interested in communism. But what ultimately caused him to betray his own country and sell their secrets to the USSR? Basically, it was a girl. As soon as he got married to Litzy Friedman, an Austrian communist, one of her friends recruited him to be a Soviet spy. Several years later, he was allowed to join MI6, Britain's intelligence division, similar to the American CIA. Kimphilby rose through the ranks of British intelligence, all the while passing on secrets to Joseph Stalin's government. He became one of the Cambridge Five, a ring of double agents who worked together to do as much damage to their own British government as they could. Eventually, Philby was appointed the chief of MI6's counter-espionage branch. That's right, the head of the department meant to find spies working against your country was headed by a spy working against his country. Not just against Britain. Kimphilby was sent to America to work with our CIA. While he was there, he passed on American secrets to the Soviets too. Because of him, American efforts to stop Albania's communist government failed. He warned Soviet spies when Americans were about to capture them, and most tragically, he gave away the identities of many Soviets who were willing to be spies for America. After 30 years of doing this damage, Kimphilby's treachery was finally discovered. But that year in 1963, he fled to the USSR and lived the rest of his life there, dying in 1988 and never being caught for his crimes.
And now that you've heard all of that, you get a chance to complete the questions on what we just described. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And now, I think I'll have that drink.